In this video, I'm going to talk about something that I've been asked in one of my shorts that I've posted very recently, essentially, on the channel. And I've had a very young lad, I believe, asking me on the channel, what is the best way for him as a young engineer or as a engineering prospect to get into Formula One? What can he do? What's the easiest route for him? And whilst I'm not an engineer myself, I am a composite laminator in Formula One, by the way, if you do not know. Let me know in the comment section below if you're a composite laminator or a trimmer, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to watch more content like this. Whilst I'm not an engineer, I am a Formula One composite laminator, and I can tell you exactly how I got into Formula One, and you might be able to get some sort of a inspiration from that, or maybe see some alternative routes that you can take on your way to Formula One. I'm going to tell you exactly how I got in there, and yeah, you can take whatever you like from this video. So there we go. Hey yo, my friends, welcome back to the channel, and once again, welcome back to the field. It's a very, very early summery weekend morning, but I'm hoping that the sun might come out during this video, so stay tuned, and yeah, let's hope for the sun. So my journey actually started a good few years back as a composites trainee laminator, essentially, right? So I've started essentially just as I turned 20, and whilst I do know a few lads who have done apprenticeships with Formula One teams or like very early trainee positions at the age of 18, 19, I first dabbled in IT before I've got into composites and motorsport heavily. I did actually work for a Formula One team back in IT as well, because I've obviously always was passionate about Formula One. But after a few years, I sort of realised that IT isn't for me, and I enjoy working with my hands a lot more. And so I ended up taking a step back to take 2 steps forwards by giving up a certain salary, which I've already had in IT, and taking a trainee position in composites, essentially, just going to bare minimum base level salary. However, picking up a hell of a lot of skill and just throwing yourself out there, essentially, because the company that I've worked for the first year and a half of my career in composites, let's just say they throw you straight into the deep end, and therefore you get to pick up a hell of a lot of information pretty quickly compared to maybe other places that would build you up, and you would essentially take a lot more time before you get to do like more complicated stuff or more visual parts and stuff like that, if that makes any sense to you. So I took that step back to take 2 steps forward in order to transition from IT to composite and to motorsport industry, essentially. So what I did, essentially, I did a year and a half, year and 3 quarters, essentially, of my trainee position, which consisted of 8 months of just being a trainee, and then afterwards you would transition into a full-time laminator, essentially, in that position. Now, after that amount of time in this company, it was not the type of company I wanted to stay in, but it was the type of company which did provide like I said, a lot of information for me and threw me in the deep end, and I was able to feel quite confident about myself and what I do in the composites after just this, year and a half, year and 3 quarters that I've spent in this company. Now, obviously, life is about taking risks, and I did take a risk straight after this, and I went self-employed straight after I completed my trainee and / first ever composites position. I went and I became self-employed, and I went straight away abroad to Germany for a year, and I've completed a contract, and I was there for a year, and it was great. I was there for actually just over a year, learned some incredible experiences, not just obviously working abroad and working in Germany, in a different country, different language, different techniques, different paths that I was working on, etc. But also, obviously, personal development of living in a different country by yourself for the first time and having nobody else to rely on but yourself, which, by the way, I recommend anyone who's trying to break into Formula One industry, not just in composites, but anywhere else where you can go and travel maybe whilst doing your job, or, pick up contracts abroad like you can do in composites, essentially. And because that opens a lot of doors, and you get to travel and see the actual place and experience it from the point of view of a local rather than like as a tourist. If you go to a place for like a week or 2, it's very different than when you live in it for 6 months up to a year, right? But also, you get to learn a hell of a lot more different techniques, meet different people, meet different types of people in the Formula One or motorsport industry in general, because over in Europe, the culture, even within the motorsport, is a hell of a lot different to the UK, and you'd be very surprised if you haven't experienced that sort of thing before. So I would definitely recommend you go and check it out in Europe, go and have a look. Now, after spending just over a year in Germany, I came back to the UK and I further travelled and worked different contracts around the UK for mainly supplier companies for Formula One teams for a further year and a half, 2 years. Before I headed back out to Europe and spent another 6 or so months in Prague, where once again I've worked on different types of cabins, different types of materials. Once again, networked around a little bit, met different types of people, and expanded your knowledge essentially. And that's also because throughout these different contracts or the different companies, they didn't just work with Formula One pads. They've also did a hell of a lot of visual pads and visual pad contracts essentially for like road cars. So, well, obviously the visuals of the pad matter a lot more than the actual structural rigidity. Morning. So anyway, back to my waffle. So after partaking in these various different contracts and becoming confident enough in visual pads as well as structural pads, aerospace and marine, and this also obviously includes a hell of a lot of different types of inserts and cores and different types of cures, temperatures, and just different types of resins and materials that you work with, obviously, and not just carbon in specific instances. When it comes to motorbikes, a lot of Kevlar is used, for example, and when it comes to road cars, a lot of Kevlar is used, a lot of glass is used, a lot of various different materials, all right? It's not just always composite and always carbon fiber, but it is predominantly that. Combined with a lot of different resins, for example. This is a very interesting one because I was going to, and I probably am going to make a video on the progression in the technology in carbon fiber in Formula One over the years, because if you do not know, it was first introduced in Formula One in, I believe, the 1980 season by McLaren and John Watson, I believe that was. And obviously since then, as you can imagine, this technology has improved massively, and nowadays in Formula One cars, like literally 20 different types of carbon and mainly loads of different types of resins are used in the chassis and whatever parts of the F1 car, right? Whereas back in the day, it would have been 4 or 5 different types of carbon, whereas now that'll be 3 to 4 times the amount. And so there you go. So that might be, 4, 5, 6 years of experience that you may have to, or may be required to pick up, because even some Formula One teams will say before hiring you as a contractor or even as a permanent laminator that they require 4 to 5 years of experience before giving you the shot. And now, of course, this depends on the positions. You could probably get into a Formula One team as an apprentice, or you could probably get in there as a trainee or a junior laminator, essentially, but you would be accepting a lesser salary and obviously progression within the industry. But if you want to go in there already as a qualified professional, you probably will be required to have 4, 5, 6 years of experience. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because in those years you do really come across a lot of your own shortcomings, and you do make a lot of mistakes and you learn a lot. And there's a lot of fuck ups involved, to pardon my French, but that is how the industry is, right? Nothing ever goes right, nothing ever goes perfect all of the time. And but making mistakes, it's not a reflection of your lack of skill, it's a reflection of you learning, and you can learn a lot from that and you can progress a lot from that. And then when you do get into the Formula One industry, for example, one thing I've noticed is it takes a hell of a lot more of your initiative, right? And to add extra steps into layup of a certain pad or whatever, because it's not quite closing up properly, or it's not quite consolidating as well as you would want it to in the form, etc. So there's a lot more of your own initiative and a lot more of your brain power required to do this than maybe in other industries, from what I personally noticed. Maybe you've noticed something else. Maybe you think differently of this, and if you do, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to have a chat about this, and I would love to have a chat about Formula One in general, because I am extremely passionate about it. If you do not know, I've been watching Formula One since the age of 11, I believe, for very many years, and I never seem to quite get bored of it. Now, so as I've just explained, I've taken the path of a self-employed contractor, and that's how I've got into Formula One, because after those 4, 5, 6 years of experience in this industry, you do then open some doors, right? And especially if you pick up experience abroad in other countries, maybe in other different motorsport series, maybe in aerospace, because that's a very highly regarded industry encompasses, you will then add value onto your CV and onto your name and onto your own personal brand, therefore. And especially as a contractor, that matters a lot. And after a while, you will then actually open some doors, and you will start to get approached and open doors to get these opportunities to F1 teams. And contrary to many people's beliefs, even getting into these Formula One teams as a contractor could be just as valuable as getting an actual permanent position straight away. Because if you do a good job and if you show your passion and your effort and you actually put your mind to your job and want to represent yourself as professional and as well as you can, and you will open yourself up other doors for whether that is long-term contracts with these Formula One teams or whether that is permanent position with these Formula One teams. Because if two people are happy, if both parties are happy, why would you not want to continue the partnership longer? I mean, that's how Adrian Newey, that's how Gordon Murray back in the day, or I don't know, Ross Brawn work in these Formula One teams. Doesn't matter which position we're talking about. It all works very similar in the industry, right? It's two parties coming together and doing the best job they possibly can to deliver a spectacle, right? Anyway, as the sun is slowly rising into the sky, I'm going to end this video. I hope you've learned something interesting from this video. Like I said, once you break into the Formula One industry, so many doors open. You meet new people, networking, and not just that, but also like you add value onto yourself by being in this industry and by being around that industry, if you get what I mean, in a sense. And then even potential switches of career could open up within the industry, because I know a lot of people who actually started off as laminators, for example, and then ended up switching over to composite trimmers or vice versa. Working for a Formula One team will also give you the ability to, like I said, do other things as well, and not just do your one thing over and over and over again, which is one thing that I've noticed working in the composites industry for supplier companies or for smaller teams or other places. You will oftentimes just not be doing the same pad, but be doing one specific job, and just that one specific job. Whereas once you get into Formula One teams, even as a contractor, they like to expand your knowledge as well and actually get you to learn and get you to become even better. Not just you doing the best job for them, but they're also providing you extra knowledge. And yeah, it works both ways, essentially. And if you're a keen laminator or trimmer, or this could apply to any other role in Formula One, you will really thrive in the Formula One industry, because yeah, they're keen on developing their people as well as them seeing the loyalty from the people, then applying those skills to the team, which gave them those skills, right? If that makes any sense. And also count how many times I've said Formula One in this video, because I have lost the count. But anyway, that is it for this short little video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you're a composite laminator or a trimmer, also let me know in the comments below. I would like to know. So I've got plenty more videos and exciting content planned for you this summer. I'm currently off for a little while, enjoying the summer shutdown. So yeah, let me know your thoughts of the results of the race of the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend. I would love to know. Let's chat about it in the comments below, because that's something else I would love to do. Just make little maybe breakdowns of the races from sort of perspective of an insider, of maybe what happened in some of those teams during races, what I think happened, etc. Let me know if you would like to see that. Maybe that would be interesting. Regardless, I'm going to stop waffling. Have a lovely day. I'll see you guys in the next one.